Princess, for the last time, please stop downplaying my employment. Oh, sorry, I don't have a traditional 9 to 5. Okay? Do you know how difficult it is being on call literally 24/7? Any moment of the day, I could get a notification, and I have to drop everything and get to work. Yes, it is in the Discord server, but still, okay, I am a content moderator. Whether someone is posting in the incorrect channel, or perhaps spamming.
Better late than never, fucking head ass. First and foremost, I want to be absolutely clear that everything in this video is for dramatic effect. All of my crash out talk and whatever else is coming from a place of love, because this has gone from my absolute #1 favorite Roblox game to a sheepish #5 or #6. Also, the devs for this game are insanely aware and probably the most receptive group I've ever interacted with. I had a section in one of my previous videos, right? And I called the entire 2.2 update pure fucking hot stinky ass. And in like the 10 minutes since I posted it, Arrow watched the whole thing, snipped that image, and replied to me with it asking about it. I talked with an assistant dev about some niche thing on Chaos Canyon and how it negatively affected some other niche strat involving the sword. And 5 minutes later, they're telling me that they're going to try and implement it. Just ludicrously fast response time and full understanding of everything I'm saying the entire time. Alright, let's begin. Everything good. New map, jump pads. Vending machine, more achievements, more accessories, more parrying options. Disruption system, new wide open stage with one pretty cool enemy, some parts of the Doombringer fight, and of course, more gear and money for recreating national tragedies. Apparently they did forget. Everything bad. Small stuff. Arm visibility. The developers added this feature to change the opacity of your arms in first person, but every single game it just bugs out. You don't know when, you don't know how, 1 second your arms are there, the next you're a walking paradox. From what I've been told by Primaball on Discord, it's an unexplainable issue that they just straight up don't know how to fix. I'm a chimp when it comes to coding, but I feel like you can make a dedicated setting that forces arm opacity to 100% every 3 or so seconds if it's in the starter player or starter character script file. Again, I'm not a coder, but I know if there's a hole, there's a patch. Moving on. Sword pogoing. This one's pretty quick. You can no longer do a regular pogo into a lunge pogo unless you are already double dashing. Chaining regular sword pogos together while not moving fast in general is much more difficult than it used to be. I'd go so far as to say sometimes it's just downright impossible due to FPS desync, and overall 2.2 has reduced the sandbox for sword pogoing just enough for me to speak up about it. Hopefully they don't go any further with the unintended nerfs, but I'm probably the sole person who cares, so I'm not getting my hopes up. What? Oh, there he is. What the fuck? This boss is my favorite for a very good reason. Map brightness. This was somewhat bad in 2.1, the worst of it being the second half of Rocket Arena. During regular gameplay, you might not see a fireman or mark due to their darker color palette, but other than that, it really wasn't a severe enough issue to ever be fixed. But as soon as you get any of these various illicit substances in your avatar system, it becomes a fucking lobotomizing nightmare to figure out where enemies are, and especially those goddamn firemen and marks. I swear to God, every time it seems like I've killed all of them, there's another laser line or pyro jump scare just waiting for me to stand on the ground for longer than 6 to 7 seconds. God fucking damn it. There was also Stage 3 on test.exe, but nobody plays that shit to have fun, so it doesn't matter. Overall, it was a small problem that affected certain people in certain situations. But then came 2.2 and the extra clutter of all the maps and the increased use of dark colors, and most importantly of all, Stage 5. Not gonna lie, 10 out of 10 atmosphere, but that's precisely the problem. The theming and atmosphere of this map is in direct contrast with the readable, rock-solid gameplay expected out of combat initiation. I want you to rewind 10 seconds and listen to that exact statement again. Let the info conveyed by it osmosify into your mind like visiting a gore site for the first time. Then, I want you to listen to my next statement very closely. Clanker. Even without opioids or moonshine in your system, it's still an absolute pain in the ass to see where enemies are because everything is just so goddamn dark and gray and emo. I want to remind you all that this was game tested and then approved after a lot of rigorous testing and alteration. But then, They made the 2 new enemies that you have to time parries and dodges on blend into the background like butt naked niggas in the middle of the night! Like, are we fucking serious right now? Fuck! Now take this problem with lighting and its effects on gameplay and just dump liquid sodium on it. That's how bad the experience is playing this shit with epic sauce and God forbid witch's brew. I mean, just watch the gameplay on screen right now and you'll see what I mean. Dark floor, gray walls, obscure sections of the map everywhere, killbots in the upper stratosphere raining down rockets like it's a fucking Black Ops 2 Hellfire missile. Cannons and beacons hidden out and out of the way parts of the map endlessly pelting you with flashbangs, random Jason jump scares, and the occasional minigunner that you gotta pull a Blizzard cinematic Genji to kill. Brando! The darkness of the map is meant to change up your strategy! How, nigga? What the fuck am I supposed to do against 150 enemies worth of fuck you other than just swing my sword like a crack addict and hope I get enough healing from it to survive any of this shit? Might I also remind you guys that the strategy I'm using is all about maximizing health recovery with Witch's Brew, Katana, Slate Skin, Stage Prop, and Hungry Dino. Even with all of those items, I still routinely run out of Slate Skin normal HP and end up popping my block spin because of all of the spam that I can't fucking see! So, after 10 waves of Blindness Simulator, you finally get some ticks. You might not be able to buy anything from the shop because everything is expensive by now, but it's a much needed break to just relax for a minute and take in the scenery and slow down.
Enough! The remains of our societies, all laid in ruins, left none to follow.
Oh my god, nigga, shut the fuck up! I have a lot more choice words on this stage, and especially the boss fight, but I'm trying to keep my crash out specifically on the lighting and how it negatively affects gameplay, so we're gonna move on from this just for now. Larger stuff. Map clutter and gripes about redesign. Holy fucking shit. I have never in my life seen more than half of a game's maps go from gas to ass in a single update. Let's start from the beginning. Crossroads. Barely any changes were made to the map to include destructible objects, and for that reason, I actually think the map is still really good. Note how the destructible objects aren't forced down your throat, and the map has a consistently flat, unobscured surface over the central part of it. Chaos Canyon. This map is the one where the problems with the update really start to show. The amount of clutter is noticeable. If you compare the old Chaos Canyon and the new one, you can see what I'm talking about a little bit better. Occasionally the cactuses will get in the way of you dashing out of the way of an attack, and you have to devote a little more brain power to being aware of your surroundings. But there is a much more unnecessary change to the map that is supremely annoying for me specifically. See these parts of the map and how they've gone from completely flat to having a small variance in elevation? Well, they fixed it, so it's not a problem anymore. However, because that's how the terrain was the day 2.2 released, let's just assume it's still that way. Sword pogoing is significantly more reliable to do on a perfectly flat surface because the timing, both auditory and visual, stays consistent. Chaos Canyon used to be far more reliable for continuous sword pogoing, not only because of the uncluttered central area, but also because the timing remained consistent, which kept the chance of missing 6 to 20 sword pogos in a row very low, allowing you to do shit like what you're seeing in the background right now. It was a lot of fun, and it's just not fun to do anymore because the new variance in the terrain throws off that consistent rhythm in exchange for a slightly more artistic map. Definitely not worth it. Well, that was mildly off-putting. I'm sure that's the worst of the map alterations, and they didn't change anything else to shove destructible object gimmicks down our throats. They would never, ever do that. Glass houses. Endless clutter. Indestructible sandbags. Random cage things that you can't break. A giant Easter Island statue-shaped shit with a fucking reigniting candle placed on top of it in the middle of the main area of the goddamn map. I mean, why not? Put a little cherry up there too while you're at it. Add some stink particles to really sell the color and texture. Fuck it! Build 6 more! Why not? Cover this entire map in diversity. Please and thank you! Have I mentioned how much I hate it when a map goes from pure gold to gold-colored shit in the name of looks? I am so sick of maps getting changed to look nice, and the gameplay suffering because of it. It is genuinely one of the most annoying fucking things in gaming to have a lean and mean map get filled with worthless garbage. And every time it does happen, complaining about it is just seen as whining. Yeah, nigga, I do prefer the old map. No, I really don't give a shit if it's more bare bones than Grande and Mocha, because gameplay triumphs all else. I boot up this game to murder, kill, and immolate clankers. I do not boot it up to roleplay as a fucking Lumber Tycoon player. Especially when the trees just don't fucking break! Yeah, I know that by the time Vagabond shows up, most of the forest has been deforested, but I don't care! All of the trees, clutter, and extra bullshit didn't exist in 2.1, and for that reason, glass houses is no longer gas. It is pure fucking ass! You know what? Hold on. Rocket Arena is really good. The implementation of destructible glass right here is very well done. I think Rocket Arena is probably the best example on how to implement destructible objects without diminishing anything else about the map. Good work. Before I move on, I do have some gripes about the boss fight, particularly that once you learn how to parry his arm and maybe also slam his head, it gets pretty easy, and the one challenging part are the killbots, which are just fucking annoying. I think it would be a good idea to either A, remove the killbots and make the fight a bit harder, or B, replace the killbots with 2 cannons instead. The cannons would harass you from a distance, but the way they harass you is more interesting than the killbots, and overall, I think it would just be an improvement both for new players who don't really fully understand the fight, as well as older players who could do some funny stuff like maybe reflect the cannonballs into Draco or something like that. The Doomspires would be good if the map got redesigned around prioritizing gameplay over visuals. There's just enough problems with the map that I'm going to make a whole video about it, so just DM me on Discord if you need my answer quick. Enemy redesign. Ray Gunner, Emerald Blaster. 2.1, partially transparent red timing indicator, green sphere projectiles, readable, understandable, perfect. 2.2, partially transparent red timing indicator, bright green timing indicator, bright green sphere projectiles. Complete shit. While I have gotten used to the new parry timing, I don't like it nearly as much as the 2.1 version because the green is just extra visual noise. If it's rendered client-side, it would be very nice to have a setting to turn off the disruption indicator altogether, but I doubt that's an option. Worst case scenario, just change the color, reduce the opacity, and lower the saturation. The devs didn't really change up Vagabond at all this update, so I don't have much to say about him. Wait, what? Yo, he parries SOT now. It's about time we quit babying the aimbotters. You guys deserve a kiss for that. Mwah! While I'm on the topic of Vagabond, the glass houses redesign added this gray lip to the building Vagabond stands on, and you can't see him anymore. It's really disappointing because seeing him up there and raise his sword before was just extremely badass. Consider removing it, or if you want to be cool about it, make the corner of the building destructible. You can break it early, or Vagabond will break it when he lands. Either or. Game pacing and story. CI doesn't really have a story. You kind of just go from place to place killing lots of stuff, and what I'm trying to say is that the gameplay and progression was always the focus of combat initiation, with the story being mostly an afterthought. 2.2's attempt to include some kind of story so far into the game is just off-putting. You go from all of these silent enemies to a complete yapper trying to shame you for killing bot lobbies like, yeah dude, I'm here to kill Lego people and get points. The fuck you think? Personally, I prefer the silent enemies much more because it lets you make up your own mind for how the character would actually act. One of the reasons I find Forsaken so cringe is all the voice lines just make the killers sound like they're parodying themselves. I would find Doombringer to be a hell of a lot cooler if he just learned to shut the fuck up like Vagabond. As for game pacing with stage 5 and the boss fight, it can easily take more than an hour to complete a run, whereas in 2.1 you could pretty easily be done in 45 minutes. It's a noticeable increase in time, and I'll find myself often putting off CI because of the increased time demand. The solution for this problem overlaps with a few other problems I haven't mentioned yet, so I'll elaborate more on this later. New stage in the boss fight. 3 new enemies, 2 are impossible to see until it's too late to interact with them, 1 is pretty cool. Jason reskin is whatever, would be cooler if you could fucking see him. Agent would be cool if you could fucking see him. Heavy weapons guy is really good. Having a laser beam worth of bullets tracking you is just intimidating as shit, and the hammer acts kind of like a nano shield from Avengers. I haven't ever experienced a feeling quite like dodging a mobile Siwa's Juggernaut or desperately hiding behind a wall in any other game before. Nice job. Now, where were we? Oh yeah, elevated area and dark floor? Fuck off. Obscured enemies far away from the main area? Fuck off. Hellfire missile launchers in low Earth orbit? Fuck off. Random ass lightning that you can barely see if you're zoomed out a lot? Fuck off. It feels like this map and the choices made were specifically done to turn the whole experience into a fucking slog. At least Rocket Arena ended with a good boss fight. Speaking of boss fights, drumroll please. From the makers of Peak, Really Good, Perfection, and Peak, we present to you a Doombringer. So we waited more than a year for 2.2, right? The only objective improvement so far is that the lobby map is really nice. Playing with Sword is much less smooth due to map changes, the entirety of glass houses is more cramped and cluttered, and the handful of spots that had wide open flat terrain now just have indestructible bullshit sprinkled all over the place. Rocket Arena is still good because they barely touched it. Doomspire is a darkness simulator with mediocre enemies and none of the good design elements of other maps. And now after all of that, we have reached the final course. Every boss up until then has been at the very least good. So what do we get for the time and trouble? An aura farming, soyjack forsaken wannabe with worse readability and fewer parryable attacks than fucking Slasher. I would genuinely rather get butt fucked by a nigga named Requise than fight Doombringer solo. He is that fucking terrible. At least there's healing crystals for when you get hit by some bullshit you can't see. At least there's voice lines so you know which attack you're gonna get fucked by next. Did you lose track of that player-sized black and red character against the black and red background? Too bad, guess when to dodge. If you can even fucking dodge the attack to begin with. Distinct attack indicators? Nope. Obvious high contrast sparks? Nope. Random spam out of your FOV?
Hell yeah.
Never shutting the fuck up?
Hell yeah.
Terrible readability?
Hell yeah.
Unsatisfying and completely worthless parries?
Hell yeah.
Interactability?
Hell no!
Missed opportunities? Everywhere. There's like 5 weapons that can actually kill Doom in a reasonable period of time, and they all have the same similarity. Aimbot, explosive aimbot, bouncy aimbot, metal aimbot, and magnetic aimbot. You technically need sword or paintball gun to make most of the aimbots work, but you don't really do damage with them, so they don't count. Every other weapon you could use follows the same exact boring-ass fighting style. You hit him a few times, dodge, repeat until he dies. You can bounce on his head with sword for a couple crumbs of damage, shoot him in the head a couple times with paintball guns, try not to miss. Regular and multi-rocket function the same because Doom floats just high enough off the ground to validate the splash damage. Scatter Blaster and Bazooka aren't bad. Bombs are okay, but there's a damage cap. Sentry is fine, but boring. Trowel and Hammer do some damage, but it's not really fun or interesting, so yeah. Alright. You did away with the interactability and effectiveness of Sword against Doom. What happened with the freed up development time? Because what I see is a bunch of subpar, random bullshit go style attacks with zero actual substance or depth behind any of them. Most of which are indicated by a generic interchangeable bad guy voice line with the caveat that the attacks follow a set sequence which you can't really change. Multiple attacks have minimal or no audio indicators whatsoever, while other attacks are unpredictable because they lack any good visual indicator. Actually dodging the attacks follows the same few decisions and movement with little variation. Avoiding dying requires you to have at least 2 survivability gears. Not because you're bad at the game, but because the attacks are bullshit. When you finally do have an opportunity to get in some damage, you either spam some kind of aimbot or very, very slowly chip down Doom's HP with another weapon. Then at halfway, Doom's attacks get faster and the window for damage gets even smaller. Aimbots don't have any issues, but the other 16 weapons? Best case scenario, he's dead after 10 minutes, which is an eternity for a boss fight. Then you have an obby, which disables your flight for a little bit. Then he becomes a punching bag for a little while. Then you wait for the fade to black. Every time you want to complete Act 1, you have to deal with every one of the problems I've listed. Every time you want to complete Act 1, you have to deal with him. Again and again and again and again and again. And every one of these shortcomings were in game at the time of 2.2's release. For all those new and returning players, this is their first impression of 2.2. There are a few things about the fight that I do like. The fight music is pretty good. The stage slowly breaking as you play is also pretty cool, probably the best part of the fight. During the monologue, you can trap Doom in a tower and pretend he's Rapunzel. You can also trap Doom in a tower during the end sequence and keep him there forever. Unless somebody has Scatter Blaster, then they can break it. You can build a tower on the grappling points. Doombringer is such a terrible boss that I can't even really get mad at him anymore. The only time in my life I have felt such apathy toward any one thing was listening to the news after going full ANCAP libertarian. You kind of just sit there looking at the screen and go, oh yeah, you exist. Thank you for reminding me how you are. I'm going to make an entirely separate video for fixing Doombringer, so same thing as before. Despite all of these problems I've listed, nothing compares to the fact that a majority chunk of the player base actually enjoys this update a lot, and the Doombringer fight. So justifying a redesign and all of the effort necessary to follow through on it is impossible. I don't want to be a serial complainer, so there really is only one good solution. which is this. Make 2.1.3.2 campaign available to play exactly how it was the day before 2.2 released. It could be a legacy version like how Evade or UTG handled theirs, or it could be a playable campaign inside of the game. I don't really care which, I just want the old maps and enemies back. I think this is going to be the best overall solution because it doesn't force people to adapt. They can keep playing exactly how they were playing yesterday, plus it's cheaper and easier to implement compared to reworking and redesigning large parts of the campaign. However, there are some issues that I've listed that I think are worthy of being changed in the base game. Those being flattened terrain in the main area of Chaos Canyon, Glass Houses, and Doomspires. Remove or make easy to remove any clutter that is added. Use destructible objects to actually change the map. Make sure Vagabond is visible on his perch. Add a modifier to brighten the second part of Stage 4 and the entirety of Stage 5. Make the models for Jason Reskin and Agent stand out much more. Make Doombringer stand out from the background a lot more. Add more interactability and ways to stun Doombringer's attacks. With all weapons. Make sure every attack is identifiable without a voice line. Add a skip button for the monologue. Fix arm visibility. And finally, fix sword pogoing. Now that it's been a few months since 2.2 released, my urge to play combat initiation as a part of a routine is mostly gone. All of these issues appear every single time I want to play the game, and at a certain point, I'm just kind of going through the motions of playing, but not actually enjoying what I'm doing. I'm definitely going to continue making videos about the game, expect them to be very racist, but if nothing changes, I'm probably just going to move on to another game. And realistically, most of my complaints, if they were in any other game, would be considered nitpicks. And I think that's an indicator that Combat Initiation is really an amazing game. While it's a shame all of these problems were in-game during a massive influx of new players, no doubt turning many of them off to playing the game again, I believe that with a few good design decisions, we can most definitely achieve peak once again. Now then, what do I choose for the song? Life got in the way. I didn't want to have to release this video 4 weeks later, so I'm definitely a hypocrite for this. Q&A at 100 subs, plus I'll make fun of all the stupid comments on this video. Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. Bye. Oh, that was cool. How in the fuck do you miss every single shot? That's honestly impressive. Ground Soil Man, it has been a pleasure. I got a feeling that Requise comment is gonna fuck me over if I ever get popular. Next video is gonna be how to destroy Roblox forever.